So tell us more about you, Patricia, you being a BS in nurse and doing wellness as well.
As you've introduced, my name is ABBEY Patricia. I'm a BS nurse and a wellness expert. It's so beautiful to practice health, to help people, to improve their lives. It's been a passion, it's been a dream that I've always been wanting to do. And it feels great, it gives a sense of fulfillment that I'm finally doing something that I've always wanted to do. Well, nursing has been a very great profession, and it's good that the country, as Uganda, together with the Ministry of Health, has very great platforms for nursing at different levels. You can start your nursing from a certificate level to a diploma level to a bachelor's level. And well, for me, I did it direct from senior 6. Immediately I went to the university and did my bachelor's in nursing. But for those who have stopped like in senior 4, they can start with a certificate, they advance to a diploma, and finally to a bachelor's. And the most beautiful thing about it is that now there are very many specialties in nursing. You can upgrade to a master's and even to a PhD if you want. You can specialize in pediatrics, you can specialize in surgery, you can specialize in cardiology. Cardiology deals with the heart. You can specialize in nutrition, very many specialties. So I want to encourage very many people out there. Don't be discouraged thinking you're only going to stop at a diploma or you're not going to advance your career to very, very great heights. It's actually possible and people are doing it. So
all those opportunities or doors open up when you do that particular course, the nursing bit of it?
Yes, they do.
So your specialty is?
Apparently I've not yet specialized, but I'm looking into either nutrition or pediatrics in regards with maternal and child health. So I'm looking into that direction.
How come you're taking that path? Is it because there is demand, or is the end thing where you are in your field? Like everyone talks about it, the nurses around you, the doctors, or maybe there is need when it comes to Uganda itself and the health facilities?
Well, what drew me to the nutrition bit or to the maternal and child health bit, during my practice or during my education, I did a research, undergraduate research in malnutrition in children. So when I read, I discovered that nutrition affects our lives in very many various ways. And this starts way from conception. When a mother is pregnant, what she feeds on, how her lifestyle is. And this also continues until the mother gives birth to a child, how this child is going to be. And also the nutrition of this child when she's still young also affects her growth milestones. It's going to affect her mental abilities. It's going to affect her functioning of the whole body until she becomes a youth, until she becomes an elderly person. So this drew me to the maternal and child health. There's no I'm going to take care of a mother and ignore the child. There's no I'm going to take care of the child and ignore the mother. So that's why I decided to take this direction. I work hand in hand with them and improve the lives of very many people, and especially mothers and children.
Okay. Just for someone out there watching this particular program, would love to get to know, or maybe one who wants to really settle and take this path that Patricia decided to take.
Okay.
What do they need at hand? Do they have to do the sciences, make them their friends, or have to wait until they do their senior 6 to take up that path?
Well, taking the path of health, taking the path of nursing or medicine, it starts from, you see, just like a house is, there is a foundation. You're not going to start with the iron sheets and ignore the foundation. So they are what we call fundamentals. And the fundamentals are the sciences. You're not going to study how the body functions when you're doing history. So yes, you'll have to do the sciences. You have to do the biology and the chemistry. Those are the fundamentals. Well, someone doesn't have to complete their senior 6. When you stop in your senior 4, there are very many nursing schools right now. They provide courses for such people. So you can start with your certificate. Direct from your senior 4, you start with a certificate, and then you can advance to a diploma. So with your diploma, according to the procedures of the country, you have to have 2 years of experience before you go to the next level. So after your certificate, you do your 2 years experience, you go to a diploma level, do your 2 years experience, then advance to a bachelor's. Yes. So the fundamentals are biology and chemistry. There is no shortcut.
I like that bit. There are no shortcuts because, you know, at times you're like, I need to do this and pass my examinations, get quick into the job market. You know, you really want to do it fast, but it's good to know that there are no shortcuts.
There are no shortcuts.
Well, speaking about celebrating the women in ICT and of course how ICT has really impacted the health sector and eased your work. Eased the way of doing a business when it comes to your space. How do you incorporate ICT on a daily with what you do?
Well, we cannot deny the fact that ICT has taken over, and it's really so beautiful. I like the way every sector has embraced it and used it so well to better their jobs, to reach out to people. Because when you look at ICT, we look at social media, we look at the technology and how we've used all these things. Way back in school, many times we could be given a lot of research work. And where are you going to do this research from? It's either on the internet, on the YouTube, or online books. Besides the hard copy library books, you need updated information. So we've used ICT for research also. I remember when I was doing my research, most of the information that I was using, I was getting it from the internet. We have what we call the Google Scholar. That's still technology. And how are you collecting this information? What are you using? We are using the laptops, we are using the computers. And then you realize you need some skills on how to collect this information, converge it into one thing. That is all ICT. Besides that, when you get your research, you want to disseminate it. You want people to get to know about what you found out. And how are you going to do this? Still, you're going to use the technology, you're going to use this ICT. And then also in practice, to simplify our work, I'll give an example. In the hospitals, we have a system. We have computers. So maybe a patient comes in at the reception, they'll feed in their information, and then they just queue this person to see the doctor. So the person doesn't have to be like, here is my information. No, it's already
always moving with your file, with your documents.
It's already in the computer. So you just go see the person, and everything is in there. From there, you queue to the pharmacy. You don't need to go with a prescription. No, it's already incorporated into the computer. Someone is able to see it. So with this, we realize you're reducing on congestion in the hospital. You're saving time. You're saving time. And then at the end of the day, you've provided a service to the patient. She's satisfied. As long as it's timely, a patient will always appreciate that. And then also the social media. As I said, I work with net nutrition specialists, and we use a lot of social media to reach out to people. And this is all ICT.
Well, have you tried, like, with the research you really carry out, and you saying that you reach out to your patients or maybe your clients through the ICT part of it?
Yeah.
Have you encountered like wrong information that is spread sometimes?
Yes.
And you tend to clarify maybe on your website?
The internet has a lot. It has a lot, and it has no limitation. Whoever wants to put in information puts it out there. And I think it has also affected how the community, how the public is also reacting to it when it comes to their health. I'll give an example of nowadays, a patient comes to you with a diagnosis.
How about that?
A patient comes to you with a diagnosis.
They also need to really have the information, the right information to help them out.
And yet they've come to you to give them a diagnosis. So a patient will feel flu, will feel some cough, immediately puts that into the internet.
They get to
and
get
the sad part of it is that it will not give them a diagnosis which is minor. It's always the big one. So maybe it's just a flu. For them, they'll focus on the TB. You know?
So the big one is to give them a bigger picture, and also the pricing itself to take them to expensive medication as well.
Exactly. So that's the challenge that we've got as health practitioners with the internet, with the ICT. So one will have to do a lot to educate this person, to convince this person that it's not what you're thinking, it's actually this. So
it's much better to come and do the tests at the end of the day.
Yes, you come to the experts. You know, we went to school, we studied all these things. So when you studied something else, and you're now trusting the internet, and I don't think it's right. Many people have made wrong decisions.
Maybe it could be a shortcut. For example, they imagine walking to the health facility and they think of the consultation fee and they're like, oh, it's enough for me to go and get the medication from the pharmacist.
Yeah, well, the pharmacies are there. You can get any prescription, any drug that you want without even a prescription from the pharmacy. But personally, I don't think that is right. And I think this is what has caused what we call of recent antimicrobial resistance. We have antimicrobial resistance, drug resistance because of such practices. You're not sure of what you're treating, but you're just anticipating, you're thinking. So you just go, you get that particular drug, you take it, yet it's not actually the right one. So usually if you don't treat it, it's going to keep on building itself and getting worse. So that's when people remember that, oh, I need to see a doctor. So they come and see the doctor, we diagnose you, and when we want to get this particular antibiotic or this particular drug, because now your body, you know, these organisms that cause the diseases, they're also smart. They manipulate themselves. They're like, you're treating me like this, so let me change myself.
The way I attack you.
So when you bring this other one that has been working on me, it's going to fail because it has changed itself.
Because at the end of the day, they will not have the right documentation that this is what I've been treating myself with, this is what I've been taking all this while.
Exactly. So you realize a patient, you have to give someone a lot of drugs.
Okay, let's get to the bit with what you do on a daily, the wellness bit of it, you being an expert. What are your findings so far with the patients that come to you every single day, the ones that come for consultation, with issues? What are your findings? Do they have infectious diseases, or what could be the problem?
Looking at it, I have realized that our lifestyle, our lifestyles, our behaviors, what we do on a day-to-day basis affects our lives. And the public has not accepted. Maybe some have the knowledge of it, but have not paid attention to it. Or maybe some are not knowledgeable about it. So on the day-to-day practice, I work in an emergency unit. And besides the accidents and the emergencies, we receive many emergencies on diabetes, like the sugars have gone so high or they've gone so low. We've also got hypertensive crisis, where the pressure has gone so high. And then we've also received issues of peptic ulcers. I think this is now a song almost from everyone.
Regardless of the age bracket.
Regardless of age. And I think that is the most shocking thing. I see very many students from primary having ulcers. And I'm wondering what is going on, you know? And yet when you look at the backbone of where all these diseases are coming from, it all goes back to our lifestyle, it goes back to our behavior, it goes back to what we eat, it goes back to how we live our day-to-day life.
Well, speaking about the ulcers themselves, even affecting the young children, those even in the primary section, there's a way the doctors will explain, because the child might be feeding right, and they're doing things right, maybe away from the snacking, they do good food, the parents, they do good food. There's a way they explain to, is it the bacteria that is circulating? There's a way they tend to explain what really causes those young children to also complain of ulcers.
Well, ulcers has very many causes. Besides the bacteria that you mentioned, we also have other causes like stress. Stress causes ulcers. And then we have what we eat. I'll talk about our beverages, the sodas. Nowadays, even when children are going back to school, you see they are packed with cartons of sodas, cartons of those soft drinks. It's a very risk factor. And then among the youth, the alcohol. The alcohol is another thing, and then smoking. And then also there are some foods that exacerbate. Exacerbate is, I mean, you know, when you have a wound, it may be mild, it may be, you're not feeling too much pain of it. But when you do something, or when you drink something, the pain gets worse. So we also have those foods that make the ulcers worse. So those are the main causes of ulcers.
So to avoid such cases, such scenarios that you're talking about when it comes to our lifestyle, and then the people come complaining to you at the end of the day with diabetes itself and the hypertension you talked about, what can we really do on a daily? Is it because, you know, other people would be like, no, your father had it, it is within the family. So at the end of the day, whatever you do, you have to definitely get diabetes, no worries. You know, you don't have to worry yourself. You know, they tend to baptize you with the disease, that you definitely get it. Or they're like, her age is catching up with you. How old are you these days? How old are you? Someone asks you, and you're in your late 40s. Certain diseases are yet to come, you know. There's a lot of myth.
Well, you're right about that, and the myth is there. When you look at diabetes and hypertension, it has very many causes, or there is no particular cause for diabetes and hypertension. But they're what we call risk factors. Those factors that put you at high chances of getting these diseases. And one of it that you mentioned is family history, genetics. for both the diabetes and hypertension. It runs in the family. And then we also have, I call them natural factors. There is nothing that you can do about them. So we've mentioned the family history. We also have age. As we age, for the bit of the hypertension, we have the, I call them pipes in the body from the heart that supply the blood and all that. So as we age, those pipes become stiff. When they become stiff, just as anything, when it becomes stiff, anything to pass through it becomes hard. So that's when the pressure increases, because if it's not moving smoothly, it will have to use a lot of force. So that's how age increases the chances of us getting diabetes and hypertension. But we have the nurture factors. You nurture them. So I always say there are those that we can't do anything about it, but there is something that you can do to reduce the chances. So this is when lifestyle comes in. So I'll talk about the nutrition. And when we look at, most times when you talk about nutrition, others are like, they don't want to pay banana. They don't want to pay attention to it. Because they're
thinking
going to
about
tell
the expense they'll be getting into.
They'll think about the expenses. They'll say, me, I love my chicken. I want to keep eating my chicken. I love my pork. I want to keep eating my pork. But nutrition is not about telling you to only eat vegetables and fruits. When we talk about nutrition, we talk about a balanced diet. What is a balanced diet? A balanced diet is a meal that contains all the nutrients in their rightful amounts. Yeah? We shouldn't focus so much on eating more protein, the meat, the chicken. And
focus so much on the economy.
Yes.
Like it's breaking us down.
Exactly.
How are we going to be able to maintain?
So when we talk about nutrition, it is always advised to at least put fruits and vegetables on our day-to-day meals. At least. For example, for breakfast in the morning, as you're taking your cup of porridge, you can have a banana. And people talk of costs, but how much is a banana? You can buy 2 bananas maybe at 500, or one at 500, but how much is a Rolex? But how much is a Rolex? Yeah? And then snacking. We do a lot of snacking. Snacking is not bad. Actually, snacking is good because it helps us to fill in those gaps. As you're waiting for your lunch, you can have an apple, you can have your ground nuts. So you can do health snacking.
So those who do the G-nuts, the snacking, I see them here at work. The black tea and the G-nuts. So it is healthy to have the G-nuts.
It is okay.
It is okay. That's if they don't skip the meals.
Yeah. Yeah, snacking don't compensate the meals. They just accompany them. So instead of having your daily 3 meals, you can have maybe 5.
Or you'll be like, let me have the breakfast and skip the lunch and make sure I have my heavy for dinner.
Well, I've had and I've seen many people doing that. But well, it is more advised to have small meals, but more frequent. So you can have your breakfast, then before your lunch, you have something, a snack. So that's when the snacking comes in. Then you have your lunch. Then before your dinner, you can have something to eat, as long as it's healthy and it's nourishing your body. So going back to our hypertension and diabetes, the other part that I focus so much on is physical activity. Most of our works that we do, you wake up early in the morning, prepare for work, sit on your desk from 8 to 5 or 6. From then, get up, get into your car, go home, sit. But But as you're sitting, you've been eating. And when we don't utilize the food that we eat, it's usually converted into fat. So this fat is one that is going to block those pipes that I mentioned that move the blood. This fat is the one that is going to cover the insulin. Insulin is the hormone that regulates the sugars in our bodies. So when our insulin is not working, or if it's not there, that's when we have diabetes. So I'll talk about diabetes type 2 because it's the most common one. Among the 100%,
is it for both the females and the males?
It's both.
It is both.
Yeah. These diseases don't discriminate. Whether you're a woman or you're a man, whether you're a child or you're an old person, whether you're white or black,
whether you're small
or fat. But well, when you talk about size, weight is a risk factor. Weight is a risk factor. Like for example, obesity. You know, it's so sad that growing up, I was told that if you're small, you're not feeding well. Actually, even when you go back home or when you visit your auntie and you're small, like they're not feeding you well.
They'll make sure they feed you with too much food.
So
and it's also good to have like a fat, big baby, chubby baby.
She's chubby, you know. But it's not bad to be chubby. It's not bad to have that weight, but ensure that it's health weight. It's health weight. Obesity is one of the most common risk factors for this diabetes and hypertension, and it's actually the main common cause that is bringing these diseases that were termed to be for older people to also be among the youth and
so
the children.
What are the causes or the common factors in regards to that the type you talked about of diabetes?
Yeah, the type 2 diabetes, this one you acquire it as you grow. You're not born with it. Unlike the type 1. Type 1 it's too genetic. It's more of an autoimmune disorder. Autoimmune is when your own body fights your own body cells. So it causes that the issue with either the cells that are producing this insulin not to produce it or to reduce on their sensitivity. So you realize that for that one, usually there is nothing that we do much but to keep giving you this insulin because you're not having it, your body is not producing it. But that one usually affects 5% of the population. So the 95% of the population with diabetes, they have type 2 diabetes, which is acquired. Although the good news is that it's preventable.
So how do they acquire it? With the poor habits they have on a daily, with the lifestyle? That is how they end up acquiring it?
You're right about that.
Wow.
You're right about that. What we eat on our daily, how active we be. Because as I said, if you don't utilize the glucose that you're getting into your body, the body converts towards it. It's thinking like, oh, you're not using the glucose that you're using. Well, we can reserve it. We can keep it. But they don't keep it in form of glucose. They'll keep it in form of fat. So how does physical activity help with reducing on your chances? When you move your body, you're using glucose. You're utilizing it. And when you utilize it, when the glucose gets depleted, they go to their stores, which are the fats. So they grab them from there, and then you're able to use them. So that is how exercise reduces the chances of you getting diabetes and hypertension and also obesity. That's why you hear people saying, she's going to the gym, she wants to lose some weight. So well, that's the science behind it. Yes.
Yet everyone has to do the gymming or work out at some point.
I
just skip a rope.
At least skip a rope. I always say at least sweat.
Okay.
Move your body.
That sounds much better. At least sweat.
Yes. At least sweat.
So is it wrong for those who don't sweat? One asks, how come you're not sweating?
When you're
there are also those kind. There's a kind like that that does not sweat, but they are normal.
They are normal. That is true. Well, we have what we call sweat glands in our bodies, and they vary in their activity, how active they are, depending on person. Also, you can go jogging with someone, you're running at the same pace, and realize you're sweating, and the other one is not sweating. It doesn't mean this one who is not sweating is abnormal. Someone will
be like, this one is really sick. The fact that there's no sweat, they're really sick.
No.
And then there's another that also complains, like, I sweat through the night. I don't even need a bed sheet.
Okay.
So what happens to those ones? Are they also sick?
Well, when it comes to that, we need to do an in-depth assessment. How is this sweating? Has it been there for long, or it has just come in? So because, for example, if you're having night sweats that have just started, it's a factor for some other disease conditions. For example, TB. TB, having night sweats is one of the signs, and especially if it's accompanied with coughing. Chronic cough. Chronic cough is when it goes beyond 2 weeks. Chronic cough, you're losing weight, you're feeling general body weakness. So when you have those night sweats that have also just come in, well, it's better you visit a doctor.
Well, the kind of diseases or the issues that you handle on a daily, you're talking about the hypertension itself and diabetes, and then away from the history, the family history. I also mentioned the age catching up with you. Certain things we cannot avoid. When should I get worried? When I am 45, when I am down the road menopause, when it comes to the men, not their body keeping the fat, and they develop a big belly. When should someone get worried?
It's always good to keep in check of your health, and that's why we advise everyone to at least have a general body checkup, at least once in a year, to check on how your body is doing. Well, as we mentioned, age and family history being risk factors of getting hypertension and diabetes. I'll go back to the modifiable factors. I'll give an example. Yes, you have the age, you have the family history, but if you pay attention to your nutrition, if you pay attention to how active you are, if you manage your stress well, the chances are very minimal that even if you age, that you're going to get the hypertension.
The diseases.
Yes. So that we shall always go back. Your lifestyle, your behavior on a day-to-day counts to how you're going to live your other years.
So imagine the phobia of going to the health facility to do a general body checkup, and then you're like, they're going to tell me my lungs have issues. They'll end up telling me some organ has failed at some point. So there are others who are in that category as well.
Yeah, you've mentioned that, and I remember someone made a statement when I talked about it's always good to do a general body checkup. And they made a comment of, why would I want to go and look for what I don't want to hear? You see that fear, that phobia that, I may go and they tell me about this. But well, I do believe the earlier, the better. You know, when you go and we call it screening. You go, you do your checkup, you've checked your blood sugars, you've checked your heart, is doing well, you've checked your kidneys, you've checked your, you know, when you do a screening, when you get to know how your body is, the state in which your body is functioning, how your organs are functioning, it gives you time and it gives you room to make an improvement where need be, or to continue with the lifestyle that you've been having, or to make some changes on your lifestyle.
Are there like, because others tend to have excuses when it comes to their bodies. For example, you'll hear the women say, we have an advantage because we go through the menstrual cycle itself. And then others would be like, you've taken 10 years not conceiving, you'll end up getting the fibroids and issues relating to that. Someone is like, you want to lose your weight, how about you conceive? When you give birth, some of it will just
go to the child.
It goes with the baby. So have you heard of such stories or such shortcuts?
Well, you're right, I have heard about some of those. Saying you're fat, if you get a baby, the baby will take off some of the weight. It's a misconception. That's what I can say. It's a misconception, because at times you'll find that pregnancy or getting pregnant may actually make you gain more weight if you don't pay attention to your lifestyle. And this weight is also a very big risk factor to the baby. Yeah. Usually, when you're overweight, you have high chances of giving birth to a baby, maybe with also diabetes, or other abnormalities may come in, or complications may also come in to you as a mother, such as we have what we call preeclampsia. Preeclampsia is when you get high blood pressures during your pregnancy that you didn't have before. Yes.
So when you give birth, at the end of the day, you'll get back to the way you used to live your life.
Yeah, most times it goes on subsidizing. But for some people, yeah, they take long for their pressures to go back to normal. But yeah, if you manage it well, with lifestyle improvement, lifestyle management, it usually goes back to normal. Yes.
Okay, maybe just exciting someone out there, or interesting them to take your path, and also doing a bachelor in science, Bachelor of Sciences in nursing. How easy is it for someone out there? Or I know maybe the universities out there could be having it. Do I have to go overseas to be better, or am I more advantageous? Like maybe the varieties to specialize in. Just excite the person who's watching.
Well, a bachelor's of nursing. Well, it goes back to what's making you do this. At the end of the day, it's your intention. Why do you want to do a bachelor's of nursing? Why not engineering? So if it's something that you love, if it's something that you want to do, if it's something that will give you that fulfillment, because when it comes to our profession, it's more of serving. It's to serve. So if you think when you serve, you feel fulfilled, it's a right profession to come in, and it's a prestigious profession. You know, someone coming in too much pain, and then in 1 or 2 hours they're smiling again. It feels good. It gives you a sense of purpose, that yeah, I've done something, I've made someone feel better. Because personally, that's what drew me to the profession. The feeling that I get after is what pushed me to follow this path. Well, doing this profession of nursing, you don't have to go abroad. You don't have to go to the US or Europe. You can do it in Africa. You can do it in Uganda. We have various universities, the public universities. There are also, of recent, there are very many private institutions. There are very many private nursing schools that offer these courses. And for the issues of specialty, we also have universities that give that offer these programs. For example, Bara University, if you want to do, if you want to specialize in critical care, if you want to specialize in pediatrics, Mulago has the Makerere University. There are also other private institutions from where you can practice, from where you can upgrade all over the country. And for those who also want to fly abroad, well, there is no limit to getting anything that you want.
Okay. I know you've registered achievements there. Of course, the fulfillment that you've talked about. I know you have lighter moments out there.
Yeah.
Is it okay if you share them? Maybe from role models, or maybe you've been a role model yourself, because I know you're an inspiration again.
Well, the first fulfillment that I had was to apply and be admitted for the course. That alone filled me with joy. Because, well, as I said, there are very many criteria that the Ministry of Education and Health put in into action for you to qualify for these particular courses. Then, yeah, graduating, yes, it's a good profession, but it requires a lot of hard work. It requires sacrifice. It requires commitment. So when you graduate, it's like, oh, a step is done. Yeah, and then now getting into the profession is also another challenge. I've grown in my profession. I've become emotionally strong. I've learned how to I've learned to accept and learn the realities of life. Because, you know, being in that profession, you're dealing with different kind of individuals.
The emergencies
Exactly.
everyone talks about.
You know.
So you usually handle the accident cases?
Yeah. Receive the accident cases, and then the worst part of my profession is when you lose a patient. You know, how to deal with that, how to counsel people. It's a lot. It's a lot that you learn. And honestly,
it has... realize you're always breaking down each day.
Before, at the beginning, I remember when I was in year 2, that's when we went to the hospital. The first time I saw someone die, it broke me down. It broke me down, but at least I've become stronger that I am right now. And you don't only, the lessons that you learn, the being strong, the acceptance of the realities of life, you know, accepting that, you know, yeah, one day I'll die. It has also made me accept that I have to appreciate life. I have to appreciate health. You know, someone comes in with a liver problem, and this person has been smoking, drinking a lot of alcohol. So as an individual, you're like, drinking is bad, smoking is bad, I need to work on this. If you've been doing it, you reduce it. So in general, my profession has improved my life, and I've transferred this to my other parts of life, my social life, how I deal with people, how I handle people, because people are sensitive. People are very sensitive. It has made me appreciate that there are very many sensitive factors. There is culture. You know, someone is not feeling well, you comfort them, Not everyone is okay with a pat on the back, you know. Not everyone is okay with a hug. So it has helped me deal with society, to accept that we are different, and people take things and perceive things in a different way.
Well, before we let you go, such amazing, amazing words that you just shared. I know someone out there has been inspired. What needs to be done to make it better? You know, earlier on with the challenges that you did share, some of the tough moments that you experienced in your space. Maybe in general, what needs to be done for all the nurses or each and every single person operating in those health facilities can better their lives, or can be easier for them to carry on with their services?
That's a very good question. The medical profession, in particular the nursing profession, faces a lot of challenges. And one of them is there is a bit of a stigma. Some people perceive it that nursing is a shortcut for those who fail to become doctors. Some perceive it that she failed senior 6. That's why she went for nursing. So it's something that as the nurses who are already there, we need to empower people. And for the administrators, for example, those in the Ministry of Health, the nurses and midwives union, we need to put up platforms to remove this kind of stigma. You find them always, you know, timid, and they're just there. They are called the doctor's maids, you know. So we need to work on the picture of nursing. We need to work on the picture of nurses to empower them, to make them feel like it's a profession. You went to school to study it, just like any other course. So we need to work on the picture of nursing. We need to work on the picture of nurses. Then we have a problem of workload. You know, nurses at times they reach, they are so tired, they feel overwhelmed. So the government out there, we request them to give us job opportunities. Because now there are very many people who have studied, but they fail to get jobs. And yet you're here in the government, there is shortage of workers. So as it's a plea for me to the government to employ more people, more nurses to work. Yes, and then to also provide opportunities of trainings to improve our skills, to improve on our skills, our confidence, our knowledge on the various things. You know, it's you know, science keeps improving and updating each and every day that goes by. So if you leave yourself behind, you'll stay behind, you know. So we request the institutions out there to put up either monthly or just, you know, those trainings to keep people updated of the day-to-day changes in the medical field.
Okay, they employ the nurses, more job opportunities for the nurses, and then I hope we won't see them striking.
Oh.
Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure having you and spending time with you.
Well,
for the viewer out there, that's all we had time for this particular episode. And today, on the part of inspiration, I was joined by ABBEY Patricia. She's a BSN nurse. And she's a wellness expert. She really had a lot in store for us. Wish you all the best.
Thank you so much, Sandra. Thank you for having me.
Greetings to people at NET.
Thank you.
Nutrition Center.
Thank you.
Well, join me yet again tomorrow for another interesting edition as we continue to celebrate the women in ICT, and more so, if you are a part of the National Broadcaster, there's a lot of interesting programs coming your way this lovely Tuesday. My name is Sandra Kahunde. God bless you. Thank you for watching.